This government possesses no capacity to understand spirituality. How can a secular government, a government that says whether there was God or not, it does not matter, sit there and be able to say you are a false prophet, you are a good prophet? The second thing is, even this so-called ridiculous self-regulation headed by Mdlhuli, that's foolishness. The most regulated body, religious body on this earth is the Catholic Church. Look at how corrupt it is to the very core. The pedophilia within the Catholic Church has been there for not years, not decades, centuries, long before there was a South African government.
It's a good place to start, isn't it? Pastor Shimmy, good evening and welcome. Thank you.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for me.
Friday, thank you. Good evening and thank you for joining us as well.
Good evening.
So let's start right there. It is foolishness for anybody to call for a church to be regulated.
Yeah.
Why?
A secular government would never care if there was religion or not. By declaration, they would never concern themselves with matters of spirit.
But one would say our government cares. We know what happened in 2017.
No.
We know what started this uproar.
Yeah.
2017, people are being fed grass, petrol, snakes, frogs. Others are trampling on top of them with cars. Now, here is a body that says we want to come up with an authority of power that will have a look at these guys and say, you're not behaving well.
And that will stop one adult from receiving grass from another adult. How do you regulate that? The Chinese eat dogs. Are you going to regulate that too? Some other nations eat snakes. Are you going to regulate it? Is it wrong because they eat it in church? Or is it wrong because snakes are prohibited? You can never regulate that. I find it complete foolishness. I would never subscribe to that. I've written 18 books. 5 of them are on corruption on the church. I know the filth within society. But I'm saying if someone is not breaking the law, we are infringing on the constitutional right to freedom of expression and freedom of association. If you and I believe tonight that for God to be in our midst, we have to eat flowers, it's our right. We're not contravening any law.
Right, Eddie. Cyril says you've got proof, you've got evidence that you can produce, that you can put on the table, that there is abuse of this thing called religion. And therefore, let's come up with an umbrella body that is going to govern this thing. Shimiko too says it's foolishness.
Well, it depends on where you are sitting. But we are responsible citizens in this country. That is why we have a place to stay. Every day we don't just, sleep in any house. We've got laws in this country that governs how we should behave and how things should be done in the country. The government has a responsibility to make sure that this country is orderly. Like any other country that is orderly.
Yeah.
So South Africa cannot be an exception that would want to model disorder in the world. We want to be like other countries that we had actually informed some of the practices that we are doing, that somehow along the way, we as South Africans might have gone astray. Yeah. And we are saying, in terms of religion, religion is not starting in South Africa. Religion has been there. Religion is shared in all countries in the world. Why is South Africa wanting to be in isolation or an island in terms of how things should be done? Christianity is not starting here in South Africa. Christianity has been there for many years.
You're saying you want to be orderly. One of the pastors that took part in this process is the pastor that you mentioned, the pastor of Rhema Bible Church, Mdlhuli. Yeah. He's quoted, and I don't know where he gets these figures. He says there are over 140,000 unregulated churches in this country. How do we get there? Yeah. If you want to be orderly, right, you've got this thing called the NPO Act, where these churches are supposed to be registered, right? You've not managed as a government to get those churches registered. Exactly. How are you going to do it now?
Well, perhaps that's the starting point. Because social development, when we were conducting the hearings, they acknowledged the fact that they are having challenges in terms of, registering the religious sector, in terms of the legislation that is there now. Because it is not whether you go and register or you don't register. Well, in terms of monitoring the legislation that they have now, it is a little bit difficult for them to get to know who is not registered, who is not. So we are saying
it's the law of the country.
Exactly.
Now, there is no choice about the law of the country.
I understand that. you should remember that that very same law is actually not specifically dealing with the religious sector. The religious sector is big, it's huge in this country. So it is more focusing on non-governmental organization, non-profit making
So your submission is
so
religion is a special kind of animal
is a special
that requires its own special regulation.
Yes, it needs to be.
Yeah.
We need to pay attention to the religious sector. It wasn't like this before. No one ever thought that religion will be where it is today. So we were all in peace. By the way, all of us are religious people.
Yeah.
Now, things have changed. You know, and they say an intelligent man will change his mind every second.
Things have changed.
That's exactly
An intelligent man will change his mind every second.
Yeah.
When we come back, Pastor Shimmy is going to respond to this thing. Religion is a special kind of animal. So you can't box that within the NPO Act. You need to come up with an umbrella body that is going to deal specifically with that. We'll continue with this conversation after the break. This is Let's Have It Out.